How important do you guys think the organizational model that you sit in is to the success of your programs or to the programs of the companies that you support?
Absolutely critical.
Can you give me an example
Yeah.
of some different organizational models that you've been a part of and their pros and cons and what makes a difference?
I wouldn't say that there's one prescriptive answer that works or does not work, but to answer your question about how important it is, again, I would go back to a couple years ago, we would have said the problem was we didn't have the right tools, we didn't have the right people, leaders didn't understand the value of how important data was going to be in their organization. Well, that's all behind us. I mean, we've got all that mostly solved at this point. And when the dust settles from that, you realize that the organizations that we're dealing with inside the company are still doing the same work or using our tool stack inappropriately to solve old problems. 20 years of marketing this way, they've been designed, optimized to deliver at scale, and they're built perfectly for what they've been doing. This tool stack turns them on their side, and it makes them collaborate across silos in ways that they never have before. They were built for scale and efficiency, and this is about smaller velocity and pieces faster. And we've got to break those silos down, or the tool stack will never be used properly. And it's not a push marketing, it's a listening to a customer and responding faster than they've ever responded before, getting content created faster than they ever have before, approved in some highly regulated industries faster than they ever have before. And helping them tear down those walls and those silos and reorganize around a tool stack that can enable us to do business in a different way and listen to our customers and respond fast is critical, or we're still just working in the old way with a new tool stack.
And the tool, again, isn't automagical, so it doesn't work without the right organizational model to support it.
That's right. And test and learn. I've used that as an example before. We'll never get to a world where we're doing test and learn the right way when the marketer's job in the old world was more as a project manager, right? They get assigned a campaign, and it's going to be a series of tasks and people they need to pull in to execute on that. Go get a resource assigned to do the content. Go get a blah, 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 all the way across. Test and learn is going to add tasks to that blueprint, and it's counter their job of finishing the project. It's never going to work in that environment. But when we eventually get to this surround the tool stack, drive towards outcomes that we're trying to drive with our client base, sort of the Sim City model where we're on the outside of it trying to alter the patterns of what's happening inside that box, then test and learn is in its right place, and we'll start experimenting and trying to change the outcomes that we're trying to drive. But that model of how we operate is critical to getting to that place, I think.
What do you think, Paula?
It couldn't be more important. I'm in a unique situation. I've been at the same company for 23 years, and our experimentation and research sits in the technology space, which is, I think, relatively unique. But what it has allowed us to do is, again, I'm a broken record here, but talk about failure. At Hilton, if I sat in marketing or in analytics or in, more of the business side, the failure rate, which we all have, what is it, 20% win rate or something like that is the average for, testing, that failure rate would be absolutely unacceptable. And so the culture surrounding my group is incredibly supportive of everything we're all trying to accomplish. And so org structure is just, it's everything for me.
I had never thought of that as the KPI, the goals, the very expectations of your program can be different, impacted by where your program sits.
Absolutely.
That's a really great point.
Yeah.
I sell software, so I don't know what Rusty and Paula are talking about. It has nothing to do with the organization. It's all,
The tool is the problem.
Yeah, it's all the software. No, actually, what Paula said, for us, and this is one of the things when we're talking to potential clients that we're listening for to see whether or not it's even, interesting to continue to talk with folks. I think, and I can't speak to specific organizational structures, that's not my expertise, but the organization has to be such that the employees feel safe and, they're not scared and they're not operating out of fear. And I think if the employees or the structure is such, the culture is such that it's punitive, and this is really Paula's point, it's just the whole thing is going to be a waste of time, and no one is going to be willing to push back on authority or certain types of you have to be really dispassionate if the optimization process needs to be like an independent judiciary in a democracy, and it cannot be co-opted by the power structure, and if people are afraid, it will be, and the whole thing is just it's a complete waste of time, is my sense of it.
So I kind of have a sideways answer to the org structure. I feel like the org structure is what it is, right? So like in my org structure, or the org structure that I live in, I won't say I don't know any other way, because obviously I've been at other companies, but not in this experimentation space, right? But at Walmart, it's been this way, the way it is now, and it works the way it is now, right? So it's almost like we don't know if it could be better if we tried to go somewhere else. The closest I have to that is there was a small reorg, in terms of how the experimentation went from kind of a team in and of itself directly in product to within the analytics org, and I think that was, that's an example of where it was working before where it was, but now it's better, but we probably wouldn't have known that if it wasn't for that change. But yeah, so.
I guess I'd say, just from my perspective, it is kind of stupid because I'm like Matt, right? I'm not inside an organization, and we're a small company, and our challenges are utterly different, and probably you shouldn't pay any attention to what I say. I will say from the outside perspective, a couple things that I see that really I find irritating. We had a client one time that every time they were doing a tagging project, we were working with a different programmer. They just rotated them, right? And I think the rotation of people from task to task to task is, from my perspective, often extremely problematic. And I guess I prefer to see, if someone built a website, that they're also involved in testing the website and measuring the website, and they don't go away when the website was created. And ditto for mobile apps. I think as an outside consultant, I think one of the things I find most perplexing and frustrating about dealing with organizations is when we're working with a team, and then that team goes away, and a new team comes in for no reason that I can fathom, because it's the same friggin' product. And I think that's really frustrating to me on the outside. I don't understand why organizations do it that way. It feels really arbitrary and wasteful to have people build something and then go on to the next build instead of continuing to improve it. And that whole thing about, just, hey, we'll pull a programmer out of the stack and have them do the tagging this time. And the next time we're doing tagging, we'll pull another programmer out of the stack, was probably the single most maddening implementation I ever had. So, yeah.